So we have a really great session here. Elaine Wirrell is going to come up and moderate this session for us, where we're going to take a closer look at what we can measure. We just talked in the last session a lot about what we do measure and how we do things, but we want to bring in our fellow DEE community members, and we want to learn from them. So Elaine's going to get up here and she's going to give set the stage for us, and then we're going to hear from Martina Bebin, who's done a ton of work in the tuberous sclerosis complex community, and is one of the people we all wish we could clone. There's probably a bunch of you in this room that we wish we could clone, but we're going to hear from her experiences working with TSC. After that, we're going to hear from Jenny Downs, who came all the way from down under. I think we have a couple of you here, where she's going to talk about the work they've been doing on CDKL5 and the CDD deficiency, or the CDKL5 deficiency disorder severity scale. That's quite a mouthful. We want to learn what's been done there, and is this applicable? Can we use this in LGS or in a broader DEE studies? After that, we're going to hear from Ingo Helbig, where he's going to be talking about the work that's being done in STX-BP1 disorders, which is another developmental and epileptic encephalopathy, and the trial readiness that they've been working on to make that community trial ready. After that, Ann Berg is going to come up, and she's going to talk about her work with the Inchstone Project, specifically focusing on communications and behavior. And then from there, Jenny Downs will come back up again. We figure she came all this way. We can have her do 2 talks, where she's going to be talking about the Inchstone Project work, measuring fine and gross motor and gait. And then finally, last but not least, we're going to have the dynamic duo of Natasha Ledvig and Mary Wajanowski. How'd I do? Wanarowski, okay, I blew it, who are going to talk about their work on the Inchstone Project. If you can tell, the Inchstone Project's kind of a big deal, measuring awareness and responsiveness. So, and then after that, we'll have a break, and then from there, we will come back and have the panel. So really excited about the session on non-seizure outcomes and learning from others in the space. So with that, I invite Elaine to come on up, and she'll get us started.
All right, I'd just like to thank those 4 very powerful women for sharing their very personal story in such an eloquent way and really setting the stage for this very, very important discussion. So thank you. So I'm going to be just briefly introducing this session. So taking a closer look at measuring and what's possible. And I think, we've clearly heard the voice from the family that seizures are important, but so are comorbidities. And at times, comorbidities are even more important than the seizures. And we really do need to pay attention to both of those as we move forward and provide holistic treatment. So what have we learned from prior studies? I think most prior studies have performed only very limited assessments of non-seizure outcomes, and that's concerning. We've already talked about this morning that existing tools are not well suited to our population, right? They don't measure, or they don't allow us to measure meaningful change. There's floor effects, which limits the ability to detect meaningful change, and really limited ability to assess important changes in behavior, sleep, gait, feeding, things like that. And I remember in one of my studies that I had done, although we found no clear change in the official scale, the family had come in, and mom was so excited that her son had actually said mama for the first time. And so that was such a deep, meaningful thing for her, yet the measures detected nothing. And I think as we move into an era of disease-modifying therapies, we do need to figure out a better way to measure these important changes. So one of the things that I think we've learned is what has been done in the other developmental and epileptic encephalopathies, and we are very pleased to have a number of very experienced clinicians that are going to talk to us about that. And I think that for specific things like tuberous sclerosis, tools have been developed. For example, the TAN checklist, and I think Martina is going to talk to us a little bit more about that. Really making sure that as clinicians we are asking the right questions, and while we may not be, able to by ourselves find answers for all of the concerns, at least we can then employ our multidisciplinary team and make sure that we involve people that we need to really improve quality of life for the child and family. And then we'll talk a little bit about the Inchstone project. As Tracy said, this is a big deal. This has been spearheaded by leaders of several DEE-focused patient advocacy groups and really involves a multidisciplinary group of consumers, of stakeholders, of researchers, and clinicians. And I think that, we are really hoping that this will allow us to create a tool that can meaningfully be used for our population, as well as a greater population with DEE. So we will be looking at the Inchstone project. Anne is going to be talking about communication and behavior, Jenny about fine and gross motor function, and then Natasha and Mary about measuring awareness and responsiveness. So I would like to then introduce our first speaker, Martina, to talk about what we have learned or what we can learn from what's been done in tuberous sclerosis complex.